Alright, so in previous lecture we created HTML markup, prepared everything to start styling our second project. As you know, it consists of two parts. First one is banner, so in this lecture I'm going to start styling it. First of all, I want to get rid of default margin and padding for every element, and in order to select all the elements, as you remember, we need to use asterisk. So let's set margin and padding as 0. Alright, first thing that I want to do is to hide second part of our project for a while. I'm in form container. For that, let's select it using class name form container and assign to it display none. Alright, next I'm going to set image as a full screen background for container. So let's select it. First of all, let's define width and height of container as a width, right, 100%. As for height, I want to set it as 100% of viewport. So write 100 VH. Then write background. In URL, let's indicate path of image. We have images folder, and then select image called bg1.jpg. Then define position of background as center, and also write no repeat. In order to be background image covered, let's use property called background size with value cover. And last thing regarding background is to use linear gradient. I'm going to insert here black color, so write RGBA with values 0, 0, 0, 0.8, and then again RGBA 0, 0, 0, and opacity 0.7. Alright, that's it about background. Let's move on and start styling banner. First of all, I'm going to take care of its layout, so select banner. As you see, by default heading and arrow are not visible, so let's change their color, make it white. I'm going to place banner in the center of page. For that, first of all, let's define width of it as 750 pixels. Actually, I'm going to center banner using technique that you have already seen in previous project. I mean centering elements using positions and transform property. So let's define position of banner as absolute. Then we need to set top and left properties as 50%. And in order to perfectly center element, we need transform, translate with arguments minus 50% and again minus 50%. So actually banner itself is perfectly centered. At a glance it's not quite visible, but if we inspect the page and check banner, then you will see that it's perfectly centered. Alright, so next we need to take care of those elements inside banner. We need to center them as well. For that I'm going to use flexbox. So let's assign to banner display flex. Now elements are placed in a row because of flex direction row, and in order to fix that we need to set flex direction as a column. Then in order to center elements inside banner, let's use justify content with value center and also align items with the same value. Alright, so with layout we are done. Banner is perfectly centered with its elements, and now it's time to style each of those elements separately. Let's start from heading. Select it using class banner heading. At first I'm going to change font family. Let's use here Roboto condensed sans serif. Then increase font size, make it 80 pixels. Also transform text into uppercase. Then create some space at the bottom using margin bottom 80 pixels. And lastly, I'm going to create borders on top and bottom. So write border top with the values 7 pixels, solid and white color. Then duplicate it and just change top into bottom. Alright, that's it about heading. Let's move on to arrow. Select it using class arrow. First of all, increase its font size, make it 50 pixels. And then create some space at the bottom using margin bottom with value 30 pixels. Alright, with arrow we are almost done. We will create animation for it soon. Before that, let's style button, select it, write banner btn. At first, increase width, make it 200 pixels. Then create some padding on all 4 sides, write padding 15 pixels. After that, I want to change font family, and actually I'm going to use same font which we use for heading. So let's grab it and paste it for button. Then increase font size, make it 17 pixels. Also, let's transform text into uppercase and create some space between letters using letter spacing with value 1 pixel. Alright, so for button I'm going to use transparent background. So write background transparent. Then change color of text, make it white. And also make button a little bit rounded using border radius with value 50 pixels. For now, button has its default border, and actually I want to change it by custom one. So write border with values 2 pixels, solid and with white color. Alright, so we're almost done with button. We just need to get rid of default outline. And also we need to change type of cursor. Let's make it pointer. Alright, so our button is styled, it's ready. Before we move on and create animation for arrow, I want to create a little hover effect. On hover, I'm going to move button a little bit up. So let's select it with hover. And then use transform, translate Y with value -1 pixel. And also we need transition with transform and with duration 0.3 seconds. Alright, finally we're done with button. Let's go ahead and create animation. In order to create animation in CSS, we need to use keyframes. Using keyframes, we can create special CSS rules with several steps, and we can apply them for element using animation property. So let's write @, then keyframes. Then we need to define name of animation. Let's say anim. So we can define steps from 0% to 100%. 0 means start of animation and 100% is an end of animation. So on 0%, I mean when animation starts, we don't want to change position of arrow. So write transform, translate with Y direction, and insert here 0. Then let's duplicate it. Next step is 20%. Actually, those steps are optional. It's not mandatory to write some specific percentage. It depends on type of animation you want to create. On 20%, we need the same position, and after that, arrow will start moving. So on 40%, it will change its position. Let's duplicate it again and change 20% into 40%. And instead of 0, insert here -30 pixels. it means that arrow will move up by 30 pixels. Next step is 50%. So from 40% to 50%, arrow will maintain its default position. Therefore, we need to place here 0. Next will be 60%. On that point, I want to move arrow a little bit up from its default position. So insert here minus 15 pixels. Then on 80% and on 100%, we need default positions for arrow. So for both of them, we need 0. Alright, keyframes is ready, and in order to apply it to elements, we need to assign to arrow animation property with several values. First one is going to be name. Then we need to insert here duration, right, 3 seconds. And lastly, in order to run animation infinitely, we need to insert here another value called infinite. Alright, so as you see, arrow is bouncing, and actually we have finished our lecture. Banner is ready. Next we need to move on to form, so let's go ahead.